Hi everyone, this is Jag. Look, I wanted to do this, or I've been wanting to do this for a long time, and started bringing in people who can actually add value to this channel. So this is my day one to bringing in someone who I actually really regard. The person I'm going to introduce today, he's been helping a lot of businesses. So he helped about 5,000 businesses in last few years, and he's one of the best guys I've found in the market who can actually work with even a startup and also the business if you already have up and running. So Nathanial and I became mates in Date with Destiny at Gold Coast. So let's introduce Nat. I usually call him. So how are you, Nat? Welcome.
Yeah, good. Thanks for the kind introduction, Jag. Really pleasure to be here and share some of the insights, maybe help some of the business owners, entrepreneurs, sales professionals out there with some of their social media marketing. Really pleasure to be here and an honor to share the webinar with you. As you said, we met at Tony Robbins, so there's a strong affiliation there. As most people know, I'm a big avid fan of Tony Robbins and what he teaches. So very pleased to be here. Thank you for the kind introduction.
Yeah, that's good. Look, let's get started. Half of the people are 2 or 3 people out of 10 who don't know you or anything about you. Do you want to give a quick introduction?
Sure. So I studied marketing at university, like many people did. And when I graduated, moved into sales, like most people do when they graduate from marketing. And I've found that the people that were most successful in sales were generally the ones with the most leads and the best quality leads. So I forced myself to learn about digital marketing. I started my career actually in Thailand selling real estate. And when you're in the low seasons and you sell property to foreigners, the only way that you can get in front of more potential buyers is through learning about online marketing. So I became very good at search engine optimization. And then what happened is I got recruited by a company in Hong Kong who heard that I can get real estate websites to the top of Google, and I was getting 10 leads a day at the time. And they recruited me. And literally while I was on the plane from Thailand to Hong Kong, Google updated its algorithm. Yes. Now, all of a sudden, all of the things that I was doing on Google to get you to the top of Google were actually going to get you blacklisted potentially off Google. So I had to learn how to adapt. Yeah, you remember those times, yeah?
I remember that. Yes.
So I forced myself to learn about Google advertising. And at the time, we could be very effective. There wasn't too much competition. And as you know, when competition moves in, it becomes more expensive, less effective, which happened with Google AdWords. And social media marketing was obviously the next area to go. And I found it very hard to work out how I was going to make money off of posting what I had for breakfast on Facebook. So I forced myself to learn about LinkedIn. And at the time, remember the first case study I did is when I came to Melbourne and I worked for my friends of mine who had a digital marketing agency. And I said to him, what are the best industries? What are the best people to target for online marketing? And he said, without a doubt, plastic surgeons are the best target market you could possibly have. They don't know much about marketing. They need a constant flow of leads, and they've got the money to spend on marketing. So I went out to target all of the plastic surgeons in Melbourne, and I started with door knocking. Found it very hard to get past the practice managers. I tried the cold calling, found it very hard to get past the practice managers. So I decided to use LinkedIn. And what happened is within 1 week, I contacted 10 plastic surgeons. 6 of them responded. I had meetings with 4 of them, and I made 1 sale. And it was just for a website, but it was for about $23,000. And I came back to my employer and I said, "Hey, is that a good sale?" And he said, "Oh, wow, that's a really good price for a website." So I just decided that was a model that I could use to scale. That business, we took it from 8 employees to 120 within 18 months, and we sold it to an ASX listed company, at which time I decided to set up my own social media marketing business and specialize in LinkedIn lead generation.
Yeah, so that's what you do at a Bibby Consulting as well, right? That's what you specialize in.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, that's good.
Right. Exactly right. Yeah.
Look, just take me back to what this channel is sort of used by or viewed by most of the business people who are startups. So I just want to add value to them as well. So what do you think as a startup, today, if somebody's starting, what social media platform they should be looking into? Sure.
It depends what kind of industry they're in.
Yeah.
So the question you've got to ask yourself is where is your customer's attention?
Yeah.
So if you're in a business to business type arrangement, then you're targeting other businesses. For example, they'll have a key decision maker, and it may be the director, it may be the HR manager, it may be the procurement manager. could be even a facility services manager, depending on what service you're offering. In that case, LinkedIn is going to be the most effective for business to business. It's the largest business social media site out there. If you're in business to consumer, you're selling T-shirts or you're a rock band, Facebook's probably going to be more effective because that's more of a business to consumer type platform. Ideally, you'd be on all of them, but I think the most important thing as a startup is to focus your energy on where your customers are and really go, full out in that platform rather than trying to spread your resources too thin too early.
Yeah, look, this is what I've seen in a startup as well. Like I made the same sort of mistakes in the past as well, but this is what I'm seeing at the moment as well. That a lot of startups start actually expanding themselves into different platforms without knowing which one actually helped them or could actually help them more. Start using Twitter as well, using Instagram, using Facebook, using LinkedIn, pretty much everywhere. And none of them are sort of doing anything what they're supposed to be doing. So what do you reckon? So rather than concentrating on a lot of other channels, just start working on, just one or two from your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. The great thing about LinkedIn is, even though it's a business to business type social media site, it's still very personal. So focus on your personal brand. It's always going to be more effective than the company page or the company brand, and build your relationships, build up strong business networks. And what will happen is, if your target market is, let's say you target dentists, for example, as you grow your connections with dentists, you'll find that you get a critical mass. And next time you send a connection request to a dentist and they can see, oh, you've got 300 connections in common who are also dentists, there's going to be more chance that they're going to engage with you. So you start to get economies of scale and that kind of thing. So if you haven't got a niche, I'd encourage you to get one. You'd find that your social media marketing will work a lot better for you. When a great example, I would do a lot of work with Westpac, the bank, and a lot of the financial advisors, they if you ask them who their target market is, they say, well, anyone with money or anyone with a super fund. Whereas the guys that say, hey, look, I'm going to specialize in dentists, for example, and all of a sudden you're the SMSF specialist for dental practitioners. When you contact a dentist, they've got a much higher chance of responding to you because you're the specialist in that area.
Yeah, so look, in the past, you probably have worked, like as you mentioned, that you've worked with lots and lots of hundreds and thousands of businesses. You probably have seen some of the common mistakes which people are making, right? And you probably have a list of things. Do you want to describe like first 3 mistakes which people or businesses are making at the moment, especially with the social media?
Yeah, absolutely. With social media, the number one thing is that, business owners, I'm doing the same thing. So like, I'm not trying to have a go at business owners because I've done exactly the same thing. But the biggest thing that you need to learn is it's not about you. The worst thing that I can see on a Facebook page, for example, especially like let's take the real estate industry, for example, is they posted like what listings they have, when a new person joins a team, and you see this stuff all the time. Like they got a new office, and it's all about them.
Absolutely.
Whereas the real estate Facebook pages that are successful are the ones that are actually going, okay, well, this is our patch. Let's say we target South Bank. I'm just looking out the window. I'm in South Bank. So we're going to start marketing, like we'll sponsor the local football team. We'll talk about what's going on down on by the water when the festivals are on, who's coming to town, what's happening with the local restaurants. Let's do stuff that people are interested in South Bank. We're going to access a much wider market. People will actually want to see our content. And then, hey, when they look to sell a house, who are they going to think of? But the guys that they actually engage with in their social sphere online.
Yeah. Excellent advice. This is something which not that many people, because I've seen them making similar mistakes by people who say, for example, somebody owns a pizza, corner milk bar or pizza store. They always put, what kind of pizza they're making, how they're making it, their type of stuff, right? And there's no unique value in that because one shop pizza exactly look like other shops pizza as well.
And I think there's a lot to be learned from what you're doing here, Jag. I mean, you're adding value to your network without any obligation. I'd have to ask, you to know exactly what it is that you do. You're adding value, and you're also bringing in experts from other areas to add value. I think it's a great way to differentiate yourself from the guys that just talk about what they do and all about themselves, because obviously there's a lot of different ways we can add value to our communities.
Yeah, look, that's where exactly right. This is why I started doing that as well. So all the channel which I do is the reason I built it just because add value. I've actually looked at it earlier, starting of the years, how I'm going to do this. The only thing I could find is the knowledge and the skills and the expertise I've gathered together, in last many years. And I thought I'd better start sharing that and bring in other people like yourself to actually contribute,
Yeah.
share those ideas. Like you guys have, you know, so much knowledge, and I feel that people don't understand that. They
Mm.
don't have that. What you can do for the business. One of the other things which I've seen it, you probably have noticed that as well. That a lot of businesses, people, what they try to do is they try to do everything themselves rather
Yes.
than getting other people to do it bits and pieces which they are not good at it. Like they're
Yeah.
trying to learn how to, say website works. They're trying to learn how to do the marketing. They're trying to do everything.
Yep.
So
I'm guilty of that one as well.
yeah, I do
Yeah,
that as
I
well.
learned that the hard way.
Yeah, me too. Look, I spent a lot of money doing that and wasted a lot of time. And now I don't
Yeah.
do that because I've learned it. I've gone through that. So now I give,
Yep.
I know certain things I'm not good at, especially
Mm.
the marketing kind of stuff. I'm not good at it. I'll just
Mm.
get people, hire people to do the work for us.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
close
that's a big one, huge
out.
one. Yeah, and I think that one of the best things you can do early on in your career, even if you're like doing 7 or 8 different business ideas and you're not really
Yeah,
sure which one's going to take off, is invest in your personal brand.
yeah,
Get your name out there. Get a LinkedIn profile. Get a Facebook page. The content can like vary. You can mold it into a direction, but once you find what works for you,
yeah,
then you'll just accelerate because you've taken the time to invest in these things early on, and you
yeah.
don't have to start completely from scratch.
So let's go back to the your speaking engagements, which something I find it really fascinating at
Hmm.
the moment. You speak and you become quite a lot of. I mean, so you have done quite a lot of keynote speaking as well. So what's your main topic you talk about these days? What's your niche?
The main area is how to use social media
Yeah,
effectively to grow your business. Now, there's a lot of social media speakers out there. There's
yeah,
even a lot of social media marketing companies out there. The
true.
reason that I'm using inverted commas is because the easiest way for social media marketing agencies to A, charge a lot of money, and B, keep you on as a client a long time is to create this like wishy-washy service where it's very difficult to measure results.
Yes,
Now, it can be very difficult to measure results on social media. And some of them, they measure the wrong things. So like how many likes are you getting? Or we got like, an extra 100 followers for you. If you're a startup looking to grow your business with sales revenue, that means absolutely nothing.
true.
It's completely the wrong things to be looking at. You're focusing on the wrong things. You should be looking at return on investment. And they say that it's very difficult to measure on social media, and I think that's bullshit.
Yeah,
I think you can measure return on investment on
true.
social media, and I show people how to do that. So we start off with how you can actually use social media effectively, what to measure, so that you know that as you grow your social media presence, it's actually generating results for you, not actually wondering, going, well, we got a lead from it last month. I'm not really sure if it's working, but we're going to keep doing it anyway because we're scared if we don't, we're going to fall
Yeah,
off the face of the planet.
true.
I don't buy into that philosophy at all. So I think the difference between what we do and what other social media marketing companies that aren't necessarily demonstrating results is we measure the right things. We focus on return on investment. And if we're getting leads for a client and they're not getting return on investment, that's still a problem for us, because if they're not following up the leads effectively or they don't have a sales process, they're not going to stay a client. They're not going to be able to grow with us. So I actually go as far as saying, well, this is how you manage social sales leads, and this is how you follow them up effectively. And these are the processes you need to have in place to actually grow your business.
Yeah.
Because as you know, Jag, like as we get lots of leads, it does create problems in other areas of the business that you need to be ready for and manage them effectively.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Look, this was my next question anyway, so thanks for answering that.
Okay.
One of the other things which a lot of people like, let's talk about the professionals, like people who are using the LinkedIn, who are actually working for someone else, not the
Yes.
people. What do you think, what tips you can actually give it to them for their LinkedIn profiles?
Yeah, perfect. Great question. I'm glad you asked that. A couple of the biggest things that I see people do wrong on LinkedIn is they write their profile in third person. Make sure you write it in first person. People want to know that there's somebody behind the profile. It's not if you're looking for career development and you're looking for a job, I can understand how it would be a little bit like a CV.
Yes.
Okay. But if you're in a sales or you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to connect with potential customers, I think the worst thing that you could send people to is a version of your CV. So you want to make sure that it's written in customer-centric language so that they engage. It should be just as important as your website, because we all know that, well, we don't all know this, but like just an interesting fact, the number of people searching for people's personal names on Google is going up dramatically at the moment. Last year, there was over 1 billion searches in the US for people's personal names. So like if you go to a meeting and you say, hey, I want to search for the guy's name before you look onto Google, generally what you see at the top of the search results is their LinkedIn profile or their Facebook page. Yes. And so how important it is that piece of online real estate to, engaging the customer in, actually guiding them through your credibility and showing some social proof and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's really important to take the time to write it in customer-centric language and also tell people why it is that you do what you do. What makes you passionate about what you do? Because that's how you make a point of difference. Yes. It's all very well saying, I'm an accountant and I specialize in this areas, or even worse, I started my career as an accountant and then I had a change of heart and I went into financials. People are so bored already, but you're better off saying, I love helping people achieve their financial goals through, accounting or something like that, which shows your passion, shows your humanity, and also gives people a little bit of an insight as to why you do what you do. And I'll reference Simon Sinek's book and his TED Talk and a number of his quotes where he says, start with why. And I couldn't agree with that more. I think it's really important because as soon as you tell people why, you actually start to build trust and they actually start to listen and believe what you say.
Yep, I love that guy. Absolutely love that guy. Right. So his talk, and his book, Start With Why. When I read it for the first time, absolutely changed the way I thought things. I never thought of that way. But when I started looking at when the example he gave about Apple and Microsoft and the other companies, I think it's very important for people who are listening and watching right now to go and watch that Start With Why TED Talk, which he did in
check out the TED Talk.
2008, 2009. I think one of those times he did it, and one of the best TED Talks ever.
Yeah, that's awesome. I couldn't agree with that more. So on your LinkedIn profile, throw that stuff in there. Don't be afraid to beef out the content. The cool thing about LinkedIn is it's very easy to rank towards the top because a lot of people still don't know how to use it effectively. And the reason behind that is, it was started out, I've seen the business plan of when LinkedIn first did their capital raising, and the target market was people who were looking for jobs, recruiters. Basically, it was a career-focused site. What's happened now, though, is there's more marketers and more salespeople and more entrepreneurs using the platform than there are people in recruitment. So LinkedIn's had to adapt its business model a little bit, but it's left a lot of people not knowing how to use it effectively. And for the future, by the way, I think the most important thing on LinkedIn is to actually start publishing content. I've seen a lot of business professionals and entrepreneurs who write really valuable content go from getting 200, 300 views from their immediate network to literally getting 300,000 or 400,000 views using the Pulse platform. So really effective if you can start publishing content that people want to read.
That's a very good point, because a lot of people who can actually do that work, who are actually doing that work, not using that Pulse platform really well. Because
that's right.
The only thing they have there is just a profile, not actually using the LinkedIn as it should be.
Yeah, I think it's an awesome opportunity, and a lot of people will try it once, and you can see them because you go to the profile and you just see one article. But it's very important to be consistent. If nobody reads it, just make sure more than one person reads it next time, and make sure 10 people read it the time after that. But if you can keep being consistent, then as those people start to jump in, even if it is only 10 people, you're starting to create raving fans, and they're actually become your marketing team and be word of mouth for you. The wrong thing to do is go, it's only 10 guys, I'm not going to bother doing it again. 10 guys is a good start, and if you look after those people at the start, the network will grow by itself. And I know that Gary Vaynerchuk is also another. I'm dropping names now, but Gary Vaynerchuk's another guy I follow, and he still knows the names of some of the guys that followed him on Twitter to start with.
Yes,
isn't that amazing?
I'm glad that you mentioned his name, because what he started doing is, now I've noticed it, he actually never did the blogging before. So he never wrote a blog, but now from last 3 to 4 months, or since 2017 started, he actually started doing blogging as well on LinkedIn or other places. Which I've never seen that in the past, because he was pretty good with the YouTube videos and
That's it. Yeah. But so play to your strengths as well. Like if you feel comfortable in front of the camera, do videos. If you're a good writer, do vlogs. Doesn't really matter, but as long as you're getting stuff out there. But like, I think if you're stopping and you're thinking about what people are going to think about you or what you want to say, then you're really, you're going to come across inauthentic in any event. I think the main thing is to know what your market's interested in, know how you can add value, and not worry so much about what people think of you, because let's face it, if you're going to be targeted, there's always going to be people that aren't interested in what you do. But that's the point, is to get rid of them quickly and focus on the people that are interested. Like about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, if you were a vegan bodybuilding trainer in Tasmania, you probably wouldn't get many clients. But these days, that's exactly the sort of business that would do well.
True. I think it's the niche. It's the people who are odd one out, like the way Steve Jobs said, the misfits. Right? These days, target for those kind of people. If you're doing something standard, then nobody look at it. You got to be out of the league, right? You got to create your own blue ocean rather than
100%.
Look, let's talk about the personal development, right? This is something you and I really connect with. Some of the things. So if somebody sort of wants to get started with the personal development, something, let's go back in your journey. When did you get started as a personal development for your journey, right?
Well, look, as long as I can remember, I've been reading books and going to seminars, but I probably picked up the habit from my father. My dad runs an investment management company, has done for many years, and reads a lot of books, always very interested in business. So I guess it's one way to connect with your dad in that scenario. But like anything you can get your hands on, I'd really encourage you to go along to any free seminars. Yes, there will be a sales pitch at the end, but the way that people are selling these days is they actually give you so much value that you want to buy from them. So you're going to get all the value. Just, you don't have to necessarily pull your credit card out at the end if you can't afford it. Get your hands on as many books, YouTube. These days, like if you are looking for social media marketing tips, follow me on YouTube, follow Gary Vaynerchuk. Anyone that's got a load of followers and load of engagements practicing what they preach. You don't want to go and follow social media so-called experts who haven't got anyone, follow them on YouTube or LinkedIn or whatever they profess to be good at. You want to look for people that are practicing what they preach, because the thing that I connect with Gary Vaynerchuk, and I think I'm very similar in that regard, is he's not speaking from what he thinks works. Like he's speaking from what he's tried, tested for himself and his clients, and then he's telling you, this is what we did. Don't do what I say, do what I do.
Yes.
And I very much believe that as well. I wouldn't advise any of our clients to do something that I haven't tried and tested for myself already.
Yeah, I think this is what I see. Look, that's why I don't agree with most of the coaches out there, most of the business experts out there, because all the people who are trying to teach you business, they haven't done them themselves, right? So they're a business coach, but they haven't run their business. It's like a university lecturer who teaching economics or math or something, or the business or MBA, who hasn't actually run a business at all.
That's right. And the people that have got their eye on the ball, the ones that have the ability to change fast, because technology and digital marketing is actually changing faster than businesses have the capabilities to keep up with it at the moment. If you, as Gary Vaynerchuk said this thing on his video yesterday, he goes, it's really hilarious. He said, if you draw lines in the sand, the ocean's going to wipe you the fuck out.
True.
So these days, you just got to be flexible. It's the most important skill you can have in business, is to have the ability to try something. If it doesn't work, change your approach. Try something, change your approach. And even Tony Robbins professes to that. So, just keep out there learning more and putting it into action, not just soaking it up and learning the next thing, putting it into action and trying it yourself.
Yeah, most of the people I've seen is what they do is they've got that knowledge, which is sort of a potential knowledge, sort of, without even trying or testing, no action was taken, and they just have that knowledge and they think that theoretically things are going to work. But, as Tony says all the time, if there is no action behind it, that knowledge is nothing, is useless. Absolutely right. So you got to put an action behind it. Try things and see how things go. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Good. Let's go to the future now. Let's talk about social media, where you think it's heading now, right?
Look, there's a bit of a consolidation going on.
Yep.
Instagram has been bought by Facebook. SlideShare's been bought by LinkedIn. LinkedIn's been bought by Microsoft. There's a talk about Snapchat being picked up by Twitter, or vice versa. Who knows? So what will happen is you won't necessarily need to have so many social profiles. There's going to be some dominant market leaders, I believe. Things for business owners to look out for, without a doubt. Content's going to become more and more important. Video is going to become more and more important. Still images and that sort of thing are almost behind us now. I believe that within 5 years, websites will be extinct. I don't think they'll exist anymore. They were created for things like desktops and laptops, which we're all replacing with this thing here. This thing's taking over. This is the new device. This is the DVD player that's replacing laser discs. So apps and social media sites are the most common things used on there. So that's the way that it's all heading. Every industry will be disrupted by technology. If your industry hasn't been disrupted by technology, keep an eye out, because it will. And the ones that will thrive will generally be the businesses that can see it coming, that have got high beam vision. They can see this stuff coming. And also the ones that are actually doing business with integrity, because on social media, it's very easy to differentiate the people that are actually doing a good job from the ones that aren't, because they've got this thing called social proof, where the customers are actually, doing a lot of the selling for them. So build a business of value, of substance, where you add value, and embrace social media, and just keep an eye out for anything that might disrupt your industry, and stay ahead of the curve, because that's how you can literally go from a startup to an industry leader within a couple of years.
Absolutely right. Look, you nailed it, because I completely agree with that. This is the platform is sort of merging together, and people need to make sure that they have some sort of public profile which they're looking after it, because they can't hide behind the door anymore and do the business.
That's right.
People who did that worked for them in the past, but that's not going to work in the future, because everybody, as I think, same going back to Gary Vaynerchuk, is we all run, or we are in two type of businesses, right? He says either in the business type you run, the second in media business. So whatever business.
Yeah, right. I agree with that.
We gotta come out of that, behind the wall, and come out in the camera, or start doing something, create public profile, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the things which I always do as part of my interviews, when I speak to someone, I talk about the students who are actually coming out of the uni, which I'm really worried about these days. The reason I say worried about is because I see the education system hasn't changed, right? And we're still teaching the kids the way we taught 50 years ago. We still have the assignment, we still have the exam, and we're still trying to put the kids through the same funnel, which was 50 years ago or about 100 years ago. But the industry is being changed. We are not in that industrial age anymore. What's your thoughts on that? What do you think when students comes out of the uni, what they should be doing? Because I'm finding it, people, it's going to be really hard for people to get a job, because the job market is changing.
Yeah. Look, I think it depends on what the kids want to do. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I would have learned a lot more doing 5 years, even if I failed at every business I ever tried, as long as it didn't hurt my confidence, that I would have in my marketing degree. I didn't do any online marketing in uni. Since uni, all I've done is online marketing. But look, what I did learn at university is how to learn. Like, I learned how to, if I didn't know something, to go and find it out really quickly. I wasn't the best at turning up for lectures, I'll be honest with you. I was more interested in women and parties. Absolutely. But I had to pass the exam, so I had to learn the information before I did the exams, and so I did that. And that's a really good skill, because a lot of people will go and say, well, I'm not good at this, or I'm not good at computers, or I don't know how to use Excel. Whereas people who have this skill are able to go, well, yeah, I don't, but I'm going to go learn, and tomorrow I will. So I think that's a really important skill. And if you want to be like an astronaut or a doctor or a lawyer or any of these things, you need a university degree. So I think if you're looking to become an entrepreneur, probably university is not going to give you the best crash course. Then it just also depends on your maturity. Like, when you come out of school, a lot of kids, don't know what they want to do, and uni is a good, safe place for them to work that out. And so is traveling as well. So it really depends on the kids. But I know for a fact that if my son says to me, hey, Dad, I want to be an entrepreneur, that the first thing I'm going to do is help him start his first business when he finishes school.
Absolutely. Look, I just want to thank you for your time today. I know you're a busy man, and doing a lot of stuff, and a lot of things are happening in your life at the moment. So I just want to thank you and taking your time out and coming and seeing me.
No worries. Hey, Jack, I'm going to forward across like a free gift for anyone that's listening in that you can offer everyone. And what it is, it's just a LinkedIn profile checklist. So you'll be able to use it to optimize your profile, stand out from the crowd, and convert visitors to leads. So that's something you can offer the audience.
Excellent. Thanks for that. And I'll send that link to everyone as well after that. Thank you. Thanks for.
Excellent. No worries. Thanks very much for having me.
Cheers, man.